This is the JWN podcast. My guest today is a musical legend. Bill Wilson was born on Christmas Day in 1941 right here in Charleston, South Carolina.
Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring.
Music was as much a part of his life growing up as going to church on Sunday. Throughout his career, he's worked all over the world with the best musicians. And even at times when life took him on a path away from the stage, he somehow always found his way back. In 2018, he recorded his first record of original music with the help of some of the area's top musicians and released it on Coast Records. This year, he got that amazing studio band back together once more to record Soul of Christmas. I'm so excited for you to hear this podcast. He's joined with Brian Compton, who's one of the co-producers of Soul of Christmas, and it's just a fun time. So sit back, have yourself a nice drink, and enjoy this conversation with Bill Wilson. Welcome to the podcast.
Great. Thanks for having me, man.
I'm excited. When Brian reached out, I was like, are you kidding? Of course.
This guy's he's something else. He lays out some pathways that I never thought or dreamed that'd be coming my way, and all of a sudden, hey Bill, what do you think about it? Yeah, he's cool.
Well, it's an amazing thing when realizing that you have lived this long life in between performing music and then running a successful music club in Charleston.
Yeah.
And in all that time, you'd been writing songs, you'd been writing down lyrics, you've been creating stuff.
I've been doing that for years. I mean, like, as a kid, I think we tried to do the rhyme thing, we try this and try that. Oh, Mary Hello. Oh, I could do something like that, And that, I guess that's where rap kind of got going on too, because that's what they do. It's pretty much rhyme,
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, then I realized that some of the things that I was writing, people were responding to them. Did you do that? Yeah, I did that. Well, why don't you let somebody hear it? Well, I hadn't thought about that,
Yeah,
I had a lot of stuff I lost like that, I lost a hell of a lot of stuff in New Orleans when they had a flood. I left there and my ex had all the stuff in storage. So I had a bunch of stuff that had been written, and of course they got washed away. So that was a great loss of history, I guess you could say, because those stuff I did all along, like even when I was in the Air Force, you laying around doing nothing, all of a sudden there's a song, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I can make a song about that. Oh, that sounds cool, man. Yeah.
When you're flirting with the muse,
I like that.
You have no idea when it's going to whisper into your ear.
That's true.
I mean, I thought of things about pertaining just to this conversation. I mean, this morning on taking my daily run.
Yeah.
I'll run past a pond and be like, oh yeah, the changing the leaves. This reminds me of this. That reminds me of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all of a sudden, it just
deja vu. Huh?
Oh yeah,
It
just the inspiration comes. So yeah, that and the fact that, did you write down a lot of this stuff, or did you just store it in your head?
Yeah, some of it I did. Some of it I started and never finished, but they were piling up, and like I say, you just push them aside. Now I'll come back one day and finish that. And then I thought, I've never tried dating that stuff that I've done. I just lay them down and, but then I can reflect back to the time period that I had written it and probably think, oh, I remember where I did that. That heifer pissed me off. That's why I wrote this. Something like that,
I'll add to that too. We did Bill's first album
Get up on the mic.
Yeah. We did Bill's first album, December of 2017, and a lot of it was an impromptu jam session. And Bill rolls up in there with a pad of a folder, full of just loose leaf papers with words written on them. Some of them looked new, some of them looked really old, some of them were yellow and turned out, some were half pages and really, So the guys would start jamming, and it was both albums that we did with Bill were recorded real time, live. So
I read about the recording process for the first album, and it made a lot of sense. But at the same time, you're like, oh, that's so fresh to hear now in the time when you as a producer know, like, music doesn't get created that way anymore.
You're
like,
right.
It's all on the grid. It's all on the grid now. There's nothing. There's no metronome. There's no auto tune. There's no sniff of any of that on Bill's work. But he showed up with all these papers, and each one was a different little story. And it was great to hear the band jam, and then Bill would just ruffle the papers and pull one out from the back. And
I love that.
And then, so half the songs on the first record.
So the beauty of that to me is, you're a person who's had this long career of influence. You've played music throughout your life, both professionally and as a hobby, and then as a club owner.
Right.
And during all this time, you had all of this information coming into you and whatnot. And then when it comes to time to create a record, you guys start improvising and writing songs on the spot.
Yeah.
That use of the language of music is amazing to me. That okay, you're finally going to sit down and create an album, and you're like, let's just create something new.
Hey, why not?
And it was kind of a 50-50 mix. There was quite a few pieces that Bill had pieces and parts of.
Yeah.
I'd say probably 8 or 10 weeks before that session, me and Bill got together every Monday night up at my house. You remember that? We'd sit at the piano and we'd just mess with some of the notes he had and some of the thoughts he had. So half the songs came preformed. And you can tell by listening to the album which ones we thought about and done in advance and which ones were kind of jams.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of them was really interesting. You Can Count on Me, which is, I think, the second track on the first album. Bill had a cassette. He's like, oh, let's go listen to this. I'm like, how are we going to see? Go to my car. So we go out into my driveway, into his car, and he plays this tape from him in New Orleans, probably the late 80s.
Yeah. Around 85, 86.
It was a tape of him and some other guys.
Yeah, Johnny Majakovich.
Famous drummer, Johnny V.
Wow.
Quite a few people that are, now this many years later, famous players. And it was amazing. I'm like, whoa, we got to redo that one. That one's, so some of them came in that form that were kind of had been realized 30 something years ago. And other ones just kind of came from a loose piece of paper that he pulled out while the guys were just riffing. So
that's that's amazing.
Yeah, that was kind of how that whole first one came together in one of those two ways,
Yeah, that is amazing because, a lot of the stuff that I have written, I may have heard it one way when I was writing it down, but as time goes on, you forget. Oh shit! I don't remember how in the heck that thing went.
Yeah.
All you got now is a bunch of words in front of you. Words that still rhyme and make sense. That you can put it in at any pace, or you just start to figure out, what would sound good with that, or what would this sound good with, So I got a lot of that.
That's awesome.
But now with modern day technology, I know that when you start humming something, you can quickly put it down on something, and you don't have to write it anymore. You got something that recorded right away, and then you can pull it up later.
You can just speak it into your phone.
Yeah. Hey, baby, and it's there. But didn't think about that years ago. Somebody was thinking about it though. That's why we where we are now.
I mean,
and that's good.
You used to have to carry around a little book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
And these days, that's why you showed up with all different types of paper. Different ages. Like this one looks like it's been through a war. Oh, that's because it was.
Yeah. And I think about all the different places I've been carrying that same little bunch of paper shit, a little pad of this and there, and lost a lot of it because in moving, you always lose something, something you just throw away because you thought it was just trash.
Yeah.
It could have been a $1 million maker. You never.
Well, the things that you have put together, and it's this weird crossroads between documenting your history and everything you've learned to something new. Like it's like, hey, I've got all of this stuff, but I'm also gonna give it a fresh spin. Like,
Absolutely.
I just find that so amazing and wonderful. That gift that you just gave, that you guys, but specifically you, but everybody that came together around you to put out there. It really is a gift
man.
to not just the Charleston community, but just music in general.
You make a good point that without that band, that process wouldn't have been possible either. Like we handpicked this crew because we knew that they were able to just flow. So we picked them very intentionally. You know, the band was a selection of people that we knew. We'd watched on many occasions at Monday night at Mash Bar, or at the Commodore one night, or wherever these guys just kind of gather and play. You can see real quick that they can just fly.
Yeah.
So we
and
knew
to tell you
Bill
the truth,
being
most of them I have at some point in time either got on stage with them or something, or intervened in some kind of way musically. And so, like he said, we knew what they do.
Yeah.
And all the guys that are on there, everybody, I mean, they are so professional and knowledgeable, but most of all, the talent that they have is just so awesome, man. And I always believe that I think I tell Brian all the time, God puts you where you need to be, even though you don't know you need to be there at that time.
Oh yeah.
So all of these little pathways that have come together, it was done for a reason. And this is God's band of angels, I call them,
man.
Because it always brings together, and when they come together, it's like a budding flower, because you already kind of have that expectation, but in the back of your mind, you already know that when they open up, it's like bam.
Well, it sounds like a group of people that have been playing together their whole lives. Like it's pretty. The tightness to understand that was recorded live. I don't know how many takes some of those songs were, but they're lively, but they're tight. They're tight. And at the same time, they have that energy of like, hey, this could fall apart at any moment.
Yeah.
But it's still like, there's just that, it's something that doesn't exist in modern recorded music as much, because of the fact that everything gets so tracked and
I call that sensation the tightrope walk.
Oh yeah.
Like, you see it in live performances as well. It's like nothing more boring than listening to an album or watching a show that is just predictable.
Yeah.
Very confident they're going to make it across the ravine.
Mm-hmm.
But some of those shows where they're in the middle and they kind of wobble a little and they might fall apart. If you get a production or you're watching a show that's like has that element in there, that's a big deal. Like that's the lightning in the bottle thing. Because
all my favorite artists.
That's when everybody claps. I remember watching a concert a couple years back. It's like 2010. It was Mumford & Sons followed by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. And they could not have been more different. Mumford & Sons sounded just like the CD. So polished, so perfect, so predictable, and kind of boring. And then Edward Sharpe and Magnetic Zeros go in there. They sounded out of whack. The guy left the stage for 5 minutes and yelled at the sound man, and it was awesome. Like, it was so entertaining, So it's just not those are probably extreme cases, but
yeah,
you always look for that uncertainty. Definitely.
So, Bill, I want to, if you don't mind, I want to kind of get into your history here, because it's.
You got some time?
I got all the time you can give me, because you grew up in Charleston.
Yeah.
You grew up in a very different Charleston, but still somewhat the same in some aspects.
Yeah.
I've only been here 15 years. I was here long enough to see the first Cooper River bridges get blown up and see the crosstown go from kind of a seedy road to now it's got, flowers in the middle and it's beautiful. So I've seen a lot of transformation in just 15 years. I'm sure what you've seen is a lot more like intense.
Even more. Yeah.
But what got you into music back in the early days? You were born.
Well, actually, I grew up in an environment of music. My uncle owned a restaurant lounge type thing. And as a kid, I'd be in there all the time because I'd be helping him out. I was his little right-hand man, even at 10, 11 years old. I'm up in there, and I'm the boss. I'm running the place. He'd get in his car and go places, man, and leave me in there, and people come in, and they respected that. And nobody ever tried to cheat me or nothing. But I could cook. I'd fry him up a bologna sandwich in a minute. Fry him up fish, serve them a beer. Might have been against the law, but hey, I was even selling moonshine for them.
Wow.
Hey, buy the shots, but that's survival, man. But people were coming in like flies, all day long. But he taught me a lot. But that is where excuse me, I was exposed to a lot of music and a lot of genres. I remember back then it was the boogie woogie and all that kind of good
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and blues and I'd be watching my mom and all these ladies and they'd be jamming on the floor, shaking them big old booties up there. My mom taught me how to dance. She'd get me out there, man, and so I always had that exposure in music, and plus, not plus, but the most important thing, church.
Yes.
This was a must. Every Sunday, you're going to be going to Sunday school, then you're going to stay over for church and wait for Auntie to walk home with us together. But anyway, that's where the religious part of that comes in. Well, that's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
This was instilled in family.
Right.
Music and that just, it was going hand in hand. They started making me sing. Yes, early in my life, making me sing, and I guess because I was always trying to hum a tune, as a kid. So my aunt, man, they'd have these things they call teas every Sunday. You're gonna sing at Miss So and So's tea, huh? Yeah, you're gonna sing this song right here too, huh? Yeah. So by that time in mind, I had to learn songs by that Sunday. Otherwise, they were little consequences, small ones, like you ain't getting no supper tonight because you didn't sing well at, huh?
Yeah.
It wasn't my fault. But that was cool.
But you figured out the next week to make sure you could sing it.
Oh yeah. When she told me I had to go sing at Miss Annie Mae's tea, okay, I know I better buckle down, learn that song. That day or the next day, and she gonna hear it before we go. Let me hear what it sound like. Okay. Jesus love me, this I know. Okay. Now everybody sings that song. I want to hear the one you sing for Miss Annie Mae. That was cool, man.
So she got you thinking out of the box at an early age.
And then I started, how can I say, challenging songs that I thought were difficult songs, and it'll take a little bit more to sing them rather than just the regular boogie woogie songs, and that you hear it is just so repetitious. So I started trying to be more, what can I say? I guess more professional in delivery, even as a kid, trying to make it sound more perfect. Perfect the song to where it has a flow to it, and I could hear it myself. I said, "Oh, I should do it like that." Old stuff. You make these little runs. I hear somebody else doing it. I said, "Oh, I could do that." Okay, I can do that. So I started learning different, scales and stuff. So yeah, early, man, early. Like I said, it made me sing early. And on Sunday at church, every Sunday, I have to be up in the choir.
Wow.
They had a little what we call the Silver Links. It was a young people's choir. Man, they took us all over the state. We had to perform here and there, and I'm the lead singer and the on the boys' side. So and then they had a little group with just the boys, young men's glee club or something they used to call it. Of course, I'm pushed up there. William, let's see what you could do with this. Okay. I know if I didn't do good, consequences at home.
Oh yeah. You're like, I want to eat.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
That's pretty much the beginning. Here in Charleston, it was kind of exciting growing up in the music scene in Charleston. Like I said, most of it was like in these little nightclubs or whatever you call it, bars. But when we got into our teen life, we had these little doo-wop that we'd stand on the corner and 4 or 5 guys, or maybe sometimes 2 or 3, and we harmonize. We just harmonize. Get up on the street light, and teenagers now you can hang out a little longer.
And this is like the late 50s, early 60s?
Yeah,
Oh
like
my
late
goodness.
50s, early 60s, yeah. Because I left Charleston in 61. But like, so when I was in 8th, 9th grade, that's kind of when this was going on. They actually had a little show called D. Jack Moses used to come on WCSC on Saturdays, I think. But it was kind of like a talent show, and I got into that. I think that was around 9th grade, something like that.
What was the name of it again?
D. Jack Moses. I think it was D. Jack Moses Talent Club.
I hang out with Bill like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Huh?
Worked on him with all the PR on the first album. Every time we hang out, there's another little tidbit
Another
of
little
information
tip
I hadn't heard of. So what I thought you were talking about was the South Carolina ETV thing y'all did in the late 60s.
Oh, that was
Job Man Caravan.
Job Man Caravan.
Which was if you talk to anybody, over 50 or 60 that's from South Carolina, they know Job Man Caravan.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
It was a show on SCTV where they would have performers come on. And at that time, Bill was on there with Moses Dillard's Textown Display, which is a famous band in the late 60s that he was a part of.
Yeah, I want to hear about that whole story, because how you got into that, but we got to get there.
Sorry to fast forward. We'll do a little foreshadowing here for a second. But,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Job Man Caravan would show performances and then show you available jobs that were around that week.
What?
On the screen. Oh, sorry, Bill. So they would they'd have a performance by Moses Dillard in the Textown Display, and then in between songs they'd scroll you some jobs
Postal
that
courier is looking for a delivery driver.
Years. This thing was decades. Job Man Caravan was a thing on the weekend. So
wow. So everyone watched it, even if they weren't into the music.
I found Google references, but there's no YouTube. I want to see one. Like, there's no YouTube. I reached out to SCTV and they didn't write back. But I'd love to see some Job Man Caravan. Anybody out there got Job Man Caravans?
I would like to see some footage of that.
Yeah,
man, I'd like to get some of that for my grandchildren, my great grandchildren. Someone say, "Oh, that's my papa,
baby Bill."
All right, so you're a teenager. You're in doo-wop groups.
Yeah.
And where are you performing? Is this more of a busking thing, or?
Actually, around the schools, they're having like school dances, and they'll feature a singing group or a little small band or stuff. But I was in a group. What's the name of this group? I can't think of it right now. Anyway, it was like 4 or 5 of us. Some of the guys' name was like Paul Brown, Kenneth Brown.
Yeah.
And a guy we called Raunchy. He died early in life. And there was another guy that, he played drums so good. But this guy had an early death also. He died like in our 10th year of school.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, but he was one of the highest praised young drummers in the city. I mean, this guy could play. But anyway, get back to the doo-wops. This group we had, we'd get on this little show on it'd be like on Saturday mornings, because of course everybody in school during the week. But they had this early, like 9 to 10 o'clock show that came on. It's like a talent show, and then they have a little dance, So they'd feature some little group around town, and we did it about 2 or 3 times because people wanted to see us. Hey, can you get them back on there? So anyway, we got a little famous with that, and we did things around, from school to school. They have the school dance, and they invite this little singing group or that little singing group, but we were always featured.
There was an outlet for you to perform.
Oh yeah, I think that gave you energy to want to do it even more. Yeah, there was outlets. Like I said, everybody had their little crew. Over here on the west side, they'd come over with these 5 guys, and we can out-doo-wop you out on the park. Like we get on Martin Park and got this little section here. You got this little group, and over here you got this other group, and all the other kids are, they're
that sounds awesome.
Oh man, it was awesome. It was energetic.
I think the closest I could think of for kids, from my generation growing up, was the Battle of the Bands at your high school. That was about as closest to that as
Check that out, yeah.
Or some 8 Mile shit like rap battles, you know what I mean?
But that wasn't in a school. That was kind of like,
Yeah.
but
Tracks,
he was able to play, besides doing the parks and all that stuff.
Mhm.
He's able to play actual like performances in front of attentive crowds of his peers.
That's right.
That's
Sure
amazing.
did. You didn't think about it that way at that time. It was just something to do. It was fun, and,
Oh, yeah.
and it was more like a challenge to the other guys. We're going to out-sing you guys. Boom, boom, boom. We get in the schoolyard in high school, and like recess time, hey, we're going to meet at the cafeteria. We're gonna be over here on the south side of the cafeteria. Tell the girls. Boom. So you got this group over here, and on the other side you got the other group. So
And so it was kind of like he said, like a rap battle, but
rap
mean,
battle, rivalry. Always.
you'd have this rivalry of
Mhm.
music rivalry going on, but it seems like it probably brought people together more than it tore them apart.
And I think it really did. Because there was never like any kind of physical battles. You give the other guy, okay, you get all the accolades this time. Boom, boom, boom. You guys,
Yeah.
you got all the girls cheering this time. Next time we're gonna come back with a song even better. Might have another lead singing. But anyway, it kind of grew like that all the way up to graduation, because
That's
the thing
amazing.
just grew, and it was so intense, and you kind of knew what to expect and stuff. Like you go to school dance, it might break out at any moment. You got a DJ, but hey, we got so and so group over here. They want to do a song. Yep.
Can you imagine in today's society? Like I think of my son, he'll be 17 this month, and my daughter's 20 years old. If that kind of stuff happened in their high school, everyone's got their phone out filming it, and,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, you got kids in Japan commenting on it. It's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden your musical competition, impromptu kind of could become something global.
Exactly.
And but meanwhile, these days it's just people playing pranks on each other, and that's what gets them off. I would much rather see a doo-wop battle.
I often always wonder about how much talent we missed out on because the ubiquity or the commoditization of the internet didn't exist. I think like Justin Bieber was the first like YouTube star that made it like mega,
Yeah, and he was talented enough to
Super.
actually pay it.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
fantastic drummer too. But they didn't have that. They had their school
Mhm.
and maybe the neighbor's school,
That's right.
and that's about
Yeah.
as far as the reach.
Yeah,
was,
but look
you
at the
know?
talent that comes out of this type of generation. It's a forced talent where he wouldn't be able to eat
Right.
unless
He was disciplined into
got
being good.
chops up to par.
He was disciplined.
Yes.
And that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
I also think there's a side comment, and I also think that oftentimes in these day and age, a lot of young people may be discouraged because you go to YouTube and you see a virtuoso very readily.
Oh yeah,
No matter what you're good at,
there's always someone better.
there's always somebody better.
Yeah.
And how many people get discouraged and don't? So maybe it was like a blessing that there were so many. All you saw was the 5 different groups from this part of Charleston.
Yeah.
And you were able to be encouraged to carry on.
Oh, well, I'll
Develop
tell you,
talent.
I get my drive was to see how others actually became successful by just doing what they did. There are a lot of black artists that way back when, as a kid, I heard it all the time. Some of them didn't sound so good, and then some were so melodic, and it just touched me, and so wow. And then I'd be trying to hear them more and more, and when I do hear them, oh, that's that guy. Oh, that's that guy. Oh, like way back, Louis Jordan, he was the first guy I actually looked at in the bebop scene with the damn saxophone,
Yeah.
But he was in movies and shit. So every time I look around, there's Louis Jordan here. Louis Jordan band here. Oh, they coming to Charleston. Oh, okay. This guy sounds pretty good. I think he played alto. But stuff like that. You say, well, if they can do it, why the hell can't I?
Well,
So I'm going to keep on plugging at it. Maybe one day I'll be the one somebody say, "Oh yeah, that's Bill. That's Bill. That's Bill."
Well, it's interesting to me because the way you got into the bands early on in your career, is you just kind of, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you just kind of walked up to him and said, hey, can I sit in for a song? And they were so blown away that they were like, no, you're in the band. Is that kind of how it happened?
That's what happened with Moses Dillard.
Tell me that story, because I want to hear how. I'm trying to imagine some kid walking up to like their favorite band of the day and walking up and saying, hey, can I just sit in with you? And next thing you know, they're in the band.
Check it out. Well, here's what happened there. This is actually after my career in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
I was in there like 7.5 years. But anyway, I get out and I came home after getting out of the Air Force, and they had this recruitment going on for aircraft mechanics out at Donaldson Center in Greenville. And I said, well, shit, there's a chance for me to get on my feet. Anyway, got into that. Started working as aircraft mechanic out there. And they had this club called the Garner Restaurant and Lounge or something. But it was right on I-85.
Okay.
It was a jumping place. I every time I passed by there, the cars galore. Where the fuck are these people going? So one night I'll go up in there, and this guy's playing. His name is Moses Dillard, and the group he had was the Textown Display. But actually, it was just Moses and friends now. So anyway, I'm listening to this guy, and he is jamming on this damn guitar, and he sings, and he's got a couple of horns, I think. No, he just had one horn. He had a trumpet. His brother played trombone. Yeah, 2 horns. So I'm just listening. They're jamming some songs that I kind of know. I've heard them. I said, "Yo, dog, can I come up and sit in?" He said, "Can you play?" Why would you ask to sit in if you couldn't play? I wouldn't want to embarrass myself but anyway, I just felt like I could play with everybody, because even when I was in the military, we just play around. But there were some guys on the base that had horns, and we did some things. Matter of fact, I did something in Korea. We got in the talent show, and we were first place on Osan, and then we went over to what was it? Well, over in Japan for the finals, and became
oh my goodness,
and became in second. But that's way back then. So anyway, I'm still tuned into music. So when I get out and do this, and I got up there and I took the alto out, and they were doing, I forgot what song they were doing, but anyway, I just jumped in and did a solo, and they went.
Their heads all
I mean,
snapped.
the whole band's went like.
The whole band gets whiplash in unison.
Well, at first, when I'm coming up on the stage, they all look at me like
skeptical.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, okay, he will get up in,
as every band is with any cinema.
Yeah. And just looking at you like, okay, now it's your turn. So anyway, like, I started soloing probably about 8 bars into it. Yeah. Damn, man, who you play with? Not a soul. You do now. So I started working with him. And shortly thereafter, that's when People and I met. People came in as an 18-year-old. And
can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
So Peebo's Peebo Bryson, the famous R&B guy. Probably, I think his biggest tune is the Beauty and the Beast. Disney movie soundtrack, but he's done Grammys. And Bill's out of the Air Force, 28 years old, finding his way in Greenville, and met up with Moses Dillard. At the same time, Peebo's 18 years old, 10 years his junior, and also kind of running into Moses Dillard. So, at that point, he's a kid, but that's when the Textown Display kind of formed.
Wow,
big right time, yeah. That's before we got to the things you're talking about. JWN Caravan thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we started getting together, and that's after People I think we released the first song was Gotta Find My Way to Hide My Hurt. And we did that, and then we were kind of pushing that little album at that time. So JWN Caravan was one of our outlets, and they used to have us on there like maybe 2 or 3 times a month, something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We did pretty good at that.
And so were you touring around the United States during that time in the late 60s?
Actually, we did. We went not just in the United States. We went to Haiti for 30 days.
Wow.
USO tour.
USO tour. No, Haiti wasn't a USO tour. No, this was just the Vietnam tour we did in 1970 with Miss Black America pageantry. We were their official Miss Black America pageant band. So everywhere they had a pageant, we'd go and we'd play. So we went all over South Carolina, all over North Carolina. We went everywhere. Went Salt Lake City, Utah, and finally went to Vietnam. And we toured there for like 30 days. So we kind of bounced around a little bit, I thought.
When you're traveling around during that time period, it's like right at the end, right at the cusp of like Jim Crow laws. It just kind of ended.
Mm-hmm.
And, an idea that I didn't even know about until recently of like sundowner counties and cities and whatnot. And like how if you were an African American in a certain part of the country, and this is all over, this was up north as well as down south,
mm-hmm.
like you had to be out of town before the sun went down, which doesn't fare well for a musician. So did you encounter that or no?
I never encountered something so deep as that, but I guess maybe we could kind of parallel this little story. And this happened in an area between, I think, Johnson, South Carolina, and Greenville. We were on our way back from a gig from somewhere. Anyway, we stop in this little restaurant on the road, and it's pitch fucking black, dark on this road. But there's this one little restaurant out in the sticks. We stopped there, and there's Tony Walter. I forgot the other guy's name, but Tony. We had 2 Caucasians, and everybody else is black. So we jump out and go into this spot. We want to get some breakfast after we played. Got in the door. Tommy went in first, and the guy said, "You can come in, but them niggers can't come in here."
Oh my goodness!
And Tommy said, "What? What are you fucking talking about?" And he said, "You heard what I said?" So it was about, I think, 3 people at the bar on one side and maybe a couple of ladies on the other side. And the guy that was behind the bar had a long gray beard. And so anyway, he says, "You can." Well, Tommy said, "Fuck it. I'm not staying either. If they can't eat here, I won't eat here." And the guy, he reaches behind the counter, pulls up his fucking shotgun. He says, "You goddamn right, buddy." And it's okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And we're telling Tommy, just shut the fuck up. Let's go. We don't need let's get out of here. Because, I mean, he was ready just for coming in the spot. All we wanted to do is get some damn breakfast.
Yeah, you wanted to give him your money.
Shit. I mean, a little shabby, total redneck little area. Just totally dark out. Pitch black fucking dark. You know you out in the woods,
right.
But hey, we wouldn't think about it. We think we're trying to get something to eat, dog. But that was one of the worst experience I've ever had with that kind of era.
I got a question. Was Moses Dillard and the Text Time Display a mixed band, or was it just a black band?
Well, we got mixed as time went on.
As you got bigger?
We started out as a majority black, and then we pulled in a couple guys that really played well.
Yeah.
And wanted to be a part. Yeah.
Never knew that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was it. Tommy was one of them, and another was Kenny, I think. I forget the names together, but anyway, one played saxophone, and the other played trumpet. But they were good guys, man. They're beautiful guys. Knew the music scene. Knew they could play some fucking music, and it was at that time because they were on that album now. I think you see both of them picture on that album. But that's cool.
Amazing. So, I only brought that up because you were talking about touring as the kind of house band for Black Miss America, or Miss Black America, I guess, which is such a, in 2020, you're like, that's just Miss America. Like, come on now.
It wasn't just Miss America. That was Miss Black.
Yeah, and it's just such a different world. In your over the time of your career, you have seen this major change. We've come so far, even though at times, especially in the last few years, it feels like we haven't come quite far enough.
I don't think we'll ever be far enough.
But the thing you just said about the guys in your band, right? And it's like, yeah, we had white guys in the band, but they were just as good as everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of music is this language that doesn't care about your age, your race, your religion.
You hit it.
And it's this language that we can all speak without any of those barriers. And I think it's musicians who pioneered, equality in this country, just from touring around and getting to know, and people getting to see, like, hey, wait, that white guy and that black guy are playing together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the idea of that happening was enough to make this huge shift in people's mindset, because they were maybe brought up to think that couldn't happen.
Yeah, well, that is so true with pretty much everything in the world. I mean, as far as there being differences here and differences there, well, that can never happen. Hey, who would ever think that there'd be a black man married to a white woman, or or a Chinese married to a white man,
Yeah.
But it always reverts me back to biblical times, because there's no way, or nowhere, should I say, in the creation where it shows what color the man was that God made in his own image. So we try to figure, well, if he's all of these, he's a mighty God. Because if he made man in his own image, who gives a damn what the color is?
Right. Yeah, it's a wonderful idea to think of the fact that, it's never like, oh, Jesus was this color. It doesn't, and if geographically, if you look, you go, okay, well, he definitely wasn't white. Whatever the story is, whatever shade of skin tone he was.
I mean, he's born in Jerusalem. Huh?
Yeah, he wasn't pale like me. So,
one thing you said got me thinking, though, is art is always the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Because of the way it comes about and the way it comes. Music is really one of the primary group arts.
Yeah.
It's the one art that you do with a lot of, there's other things that you do with groups of people that is considered art, but music's the most accessible and probably most popular. So really interesting, like what you were saying is like the fact that in 1965, you had bands start mixing. You had Hank Williams Sr. hiring a gospel backing singer group.
Yeah.
You had Elvis playing with mixed people on stage. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that type of stuff was started to happen. That's interesting. I love that concept.
Yeah, it is so fascinating, because now that you have all these additions to the sound, you got cultures coming together with the sound, and it's creating a different sound, and that's the sound of the world, the sound of life today. You got this great mixture of all different cultures, and they're coming together, and they're speaking one language, and one language is love. And no matter where you hear it, every time you hear it, it has the same resonance. Love is love is love is love is love. So if Eskimos can love people from, Africa, or you go from other continents, and what the hell? It's all about love,
Yeah.
Take that same concept of geography that you're talking about, different, cultures, and do it over time. And that's what we have with the Bill Wilson album that's really amazing, is the fact that we got a bunch of 20-somethings and, young 30-somethings, like players, like real players, backing a guy who's 78 years old.
Yeah.
You see that same kind of cultural mismatch happen, but not over geos, more over time.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of the magic of
That's
some
cool.
of those, both of those albums we put out, is they sound like they could have been made then or now, and you got no idea, you know.
Right.
And I think that's kind of
That's
interesting.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about it like that, but you know, that's truly interesting. That that's because music has no age. You know, music has no color. Music has no age. All music is, when you put them together, it's music. It's music, and it either it's messed up or loud, you know, but it's still music. What the thing is, music is an art that is pleasing to the ear. Now, what's pleasing to your ear may not be pleasing to my ear, but it doesn't dictate whose ear. It just says to the ear.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. This room that we're in, because I'm a photographer, and I do a lot of professional, like corporate headshots in this room. And a lot of times when a client comes in, I'll say, "What kind of music do you want to listen to?" And half the time they have something that they want. Half the time I don't know. And those are the people that I have this playlist of 70s soul music that I will put on, and it instantly makes everybody happy. It puts them in a good mood, puts them at ease. And you know, I come from a rock and roll, you know, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
But when I listen to that music, I feel like it's the most American music, and it's the most non exclusive music. You know what I'm saying? It's got jazz, it's got gospel, but it's got rock and roll. It's got an edge to it. It's you can dance to it. You can laugh, you can cry. There's so much in that music. And I feel like it's, if I were to say, I know a lot of people will say jazz is the pure American music, but I'm like, I think it's soul music, is because it's really like the kind of melting pot. And there's that you know, that 70s era Marvin Gaye type of that whole time frame, you know, late 60s, 70s, even into the 80s. Like, and you know, your record, the Christmas record that you just put out, it just came out over Thanksgiving weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge Christmas music fan, only because I worked in retail as a teenager.
I got you.
And I kind of got, I got it. Kind of, you know what I'm saying? I put that when we were decorating my house after Thanksgiving. I put that your record on, and I'm telling you, like between the improvisations and then just the energy and the love that you can hear coming through those songs. They sound like these are songs you've heard a million times before.
There you go.
But they're so fresh and like full of life. And it put a big smile on my face.
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
You know, you kind of, the Grinch's heart grew a few times because my wife knows that if Christmas music is on in the house, I'm usually like, oh, you know, I'm like the bah humbug guy. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm like, how many times do I have to hear Mariah Carey? Come on now.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
Did the kids hear it? Did they like it?
My daughter heard it. But I didn't, she came in, she didn't get any kind of preface to it. So she didn't really she just knew Christmas music was on. Yeah. My son was in his room playing video games, so he didn't hear anything. He heard, kill him.
Yeah.
You know, but so, and one of her friends came over to help as well. And so they were singing along.
They weren't offended by it.
No, they were singing along, but I didn't give them any I didn't say like, hey, this is this guy from Charleston.
Right.
And these are like musicians that you've seen around town that are playing with them.
And I think traditionally, as people hear these same songs, should we say, but every year there's a different artist singing that song.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they kind of grasp hold it. Oh, let's see what that. Oh, see how he's going to do that. Oh, he didn't do so bad. Yeah. But they always trying to compare, you know, to like the first time they heard this particular song. Like, like you got Bing Crosby, I'm dreaming
That's the
of a
stuff that drove me nuts.
life. Yeah,
The crooner Christmas stuff is what I
hey,
got brought up on.
So you go, oh, it's Bing.
Yeah.
But then when you get a little lively with that, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. See, that kind of stuff changes the whole complexity of the whole song. Oh, let's okay. Now I can boogie while I'm dreaming about it.
And unfortunately, down here in Charleston, it's a I don't know if there's ever been a white Christmas. It snowed a few times in the past.
Trust me, I can count them. Oh, even growing up, I do remember maybe 2, 3, 4. One that was significant enough that it stayed on the ground long enough for everybody to know that it snowed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get this little flurry here, and then it's all gone. By the time you get outside to see where it's at, you see the last little flake come. What the? That's not snow. Yeah. But for Charleston, that's snow. Yeah. But living in New Orleans, kind of the same way because they're never ready for snow.
How'd you end up in New Orleans?
Well, I went to New Orleans from actually from Greenville. This is another era of my life here. I went there to work at Oxnard Medical Center in respiratory therapy.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my other crew. Matter of fact, that was the last thing I started in Greenville before leaving there. I got tired of I used to work in sheet metal, and a couple of times I got metal fragments right in the corner of my eye, and that shit was painful. So I decided, and another time I got it down in my britches. That is painful because it landed on Homeboy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You saw a lot of life flash before your eyes,
and your kids' life and your kids' life.
Man, oh wow, that was a hell of a story. Anyway, I'm up in the fuselage and I'm doing some stuff, and I think I was riveting, and a piece of the metal came off of the rivet, and I'm kind of in an awkward way, to start with, and it went down, and I had some loose clothing on. I was like, oh, and I had no place to move. Oh Lord, I can still feel it. Anyway.
Oh no.
So I was going. So anyway.
Industrial accidents are
it's cool,
scary.
Yeah, scary. But anyway, getting back to we were back to working in New Orleans at the hospital. That's how I got into respiratory therapy. Anyway, went to school at Greenville Tech while I was working on the aircraft, and graduated there and decided to start working just respiratory therapy as another pathway in life. But anyway, got some good jobs there. Got to New Orleans. I was working in Morgan City as a shift supervisor, and then I went to New Orleans because I didn't like the country where I was in. It was all like Patterson, Morgan City, nothing. Anyway, went to New Orleans and then went there for a weekend. So I checked the respiratory department out, and the guy said, "When you want to start?" So when I was just checking it out, he said, "When you want to start? I'll put you up for the weekend." Okay? They put me up in the hotel for the weekend. And then I started working there as a staff therapist.
And now you're surrounded by a whole different music scene.
But music was always there. It's just it's kind of dormant at that time. It's just kind of laid back because right now I'm just thinking survival.
Well, you got to
do what I got to do to make ends meet.
Do you have kids at this time?
Yeah, I had kids.
That'll do it to you.
Yeah, but my wife and I wasn't together, and that was another problem. Boom, boom, boom. She was hitting my ass every week. Hey, I need this. Okay. If you'd been okay with me, you'd be here with me. So anyway, another part of my life, But anyway, that was almost a 10, 15 year stint with respiratory there, because I also had a little staffing medical staffing business going on while I was working in the hospital. I'd get off of there and I'd go work the damn shift myself if I couldn't find anybody to cover it. Wow. So I was putting in some time, man.
So you had a very entrepreneurial spirit through all of this.
Well, I have to live, dog.
where did this this kind of mentality? Because it feels like you are a person who sees something and just goes and gets it.
Well, for one thing, I just don't believe that there's anything that I can't do.
That's amazing.
I've always had that. It's just, I have to want to do it. You know, I have to want to do it, but I can get it done.
Yeah.
So like the whole time when I was in respiratory therapy, you know, like you go from like certified to registered nationally. So all the time I'm going through this, there are people that was trying to encourage me, believe it or not. They thought I was studying too hard. So you know, these are people I'm working with, okay? Every day I'm carrying around little notepads and stuff, you know.
Were they worried you were making them look bad?
I guess. I don't know. You know, but this was my drive, you know. I feel like here I'm working as a certified technician when I can be making money because I'm down there doing the same thing the registered guy's doing, except he knows more about it and he knows more principles and stuff. So why not learn all of the stuff that needs to be learned, you know?
Yeah.
So I'd be walking around with the cards and I'd be going, and talking to myself, oh, Bill, what's wrong? Why are you always in those cards? I said, well, I've got an exam coming up. I want to be ready when I make this exam. And when I took that exam, they were so relieved that I didn't have those cards anymore. You know, they didn't ask me that. Well, I hope you passed because you had them things every day. Blah blah blah. Okay. So awesome. when I did get the answers that I did, they said, "Oh shit, he did." I said, "Yeah, now I'm gonna be your boss." I'm gonna be your boss because I'm now registered and you're still certified. So now I'm gonna get the job that you got. And now you'll know why I had those cards all the time.
Right.
You know? Because you go from $15 to $25 all of a sudden. That's a bit difference on the entrance fee. Right now, it's $50 and up per hour in respiratory therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. So I thought about going back, but I'm too old to be running around them halls now, I think.
I don't know. I feel like you might be running circles around some of those kids.
Just to kind of really quickly give you a little timeline and some context around Moses Dillard, what those guys meant. When the 2018 album came out, me and Bill got together to type up the press release. And I was like, Bill, tell me some of your background. At this point, I didn't even know the Moses Dillard story. And I was like, Bill, tell me some of your background. We've recorded an album and everything. I'm typing it up. He's like, Moses Dillard in the Textown Display in Greenville, late 60s with my band. I'm like, okay, cool. I typed it up. And I was like, while I was sitting there, I went to Google and searched it. And the vinyl that they made one out vinyl called Now, I think was the name of it, in 1968 on Curtom Records, which was Curtis Mayfield's label at the time. So I was like, oh, cool, let me Google that. Bill had never Googled it before, but I Googled it. And first thing that comes up is that those records, on average, go for over $2,000 at auction. They're very rare soul records, especially in Japan and in the UK.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of the hits were coming from. Bill says he's got a couple at the house. I haven't seen one yet. I did find some Korean CDs that they burned off of some of a really good print of the record. So I ordered a couple of those for $50 a pop.
Wow.
But this is a very hard album to get. So number one, I think that's really kind of a neat thing. Then in addition to touring around, and the other interesting Bill told me is that it's like, I think Donny Hathaway was involved somehow. And sure enough, Donny Hathaway did all of the strings and background vocal arrangements for that album. Yeah. And if you listen to that album, which there's some pieces on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can hear the Donny Hathaway in that, which is really fascinating. And I kind of didn't even believe Bill when he told me that. And then a couple of years ago, we ran into Peebo and we started talking to Peebo one night and hanging out with him. And he was like, you remember Donny Hathaway did all that work on that album? I was like, there's my confirmation. So
I think at this point, though, you've seen what he's capable of. There's no reason to doubt.
Yeah, but we we tell a lot of lies to each other. The later it gets every night, right? Like how big was that fish, Bill? You know,
I don't.
Bill's a big
know
fisherman,
right
by the
now.
way. Bill fishes a lot.
Yeah, I love to fish. I love to be out there right now.
So that's first, is the making of that record and the importance of that record. Second is the relationship with the Miss Black America pageant.
Mm-hmm.
They were the house band for the first Miss Black America pageant. So this was not something at this point. This was a brand new thing. Like he said, there was a circuit, and then there was the final that was in New York.
New York at Madison Square
At
Garden.
Madison Square Gardens, and they were the house band. But there was also entertainment that night that was part of it, which was Stevie Wonder and the Jackson 5.
And the Jackson 5.
With the two different kind of guest features.
So you were the house band, and you had to like introduce Stevie Wonder.
Exactly. So
well, yeah, because we opened up the show. So but, they had their own band. So what we did, we played our little segment as the opening act, and they did that thing, and then we come on and did the pageant, because we were the pageant band.
The house band for the pageant, the backing band. At that time, they didn't have a soundtrack. So the second thing, other than the making of the album, was the relationship with the Miss Black America pageant, which was really cool, which actually had an extended life. And this is cool. I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but
sorry.
You always do.
The winner of
but I love it.
The winner of the Miss Black America pageant was this woman named G.O. Smith.
G.O. Smith. Gloria Smith.
Gloria O. Smith.
Yeah.
And this woman, for her talent, did a song. And after
the whole album.
And after she won Miss Black America on Curtone Records, Curtis Mayfield's record label, she decided to do an album because she was a talented person. She chose Moses Dillard and the Textile Display as her backing band on that album. So there's another Curtone record which goes for in the hundreds, maybe 500 or 600 at auction, and I have not been able to find or even hear. I can't even find anything on that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that album, the Gloria G.O. Smith album. But that is where they went to Vietnam with the USO tour. They took Miss Black America and her album and the band and sent them to Vietnam for a month to go do the USO tour. So I just want to make sure we got clear, like that, the importance of, and then the fact that Peabo Bryson was in the band. There's like 4, in my mind, kind of bullet points below.
Just playing with the band.
Below, Moses Dillard, the Textile Display, that are super culturally important. And here's one more quick little one. That same PR, when I'm Googling all the stuff, I Google it up, and Google Books, where they archive all the scanned images of magazines and whatnot. There's an Ebony magazine from 1970 that had full 4-page feature on the USO tour to Vietnam. And you should have seen Bill's face. He didn't know it. He didn't know that existed. Because back then, your friend's mom had to tell your mom.
I know it was in the Ebony back in the time. I remember that. I remember when it came out.
Yeah,
but I never really saw it.
Yeah, so I'm pulling up my computer, I'm flipping around. He never seen it. He's just looking at it
because I had some family living in New York at the time. And they told me, "Oh, I saw your show." Okay. But I've never seen it. I didn't know what it looked like. I just know I was up there and that we were performing. But then she told me like a month later, it's coming out in the Ebony. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well.
What's it like?
I'll catch it.
What's it like seeing those pictures now? Like it's looking at pictures of yourself from then and all your the musicians you were playing with.
It's touching. It's always touching, and it just kind of re-energizes me to want to continue to be able to see them pictures. By creating other pictures. But at this time, in this point in my life, everything I do is like what they call in New Orleans lagniappe. It's something extra, something special, because hey, I feel like the world owes me nothing, but I still owe the world, because everything I got, I want to give it back to the world.
Well, I said it early on, and I honestly believe like the music you've been putting out with these guys, it's a gift to us. It's really a gift to us, because it's just, I mean, it would be a shame if that never happened. But to understand after talking to while we were talking earlier, that it's not just a gift of your past, it's a gift of the now. It's so of the now. It's all of the stuff from before.
But here it
is now. Yeah. And that to me is the ultimate like musical gift that you've given us with these records. And I hope you keep doing them.
Man, I hope I can.
I don't see any reason. I mean, judging by the sound of your voice on these records, I don't think you're losing any kind of wind in those lungs.
I've learned how to tone it down. I learned how to take a curve here instead of taking a curve there.
Yeah.
It's using what you got to get what you want. You know, sometimes it always doesn't have to be a, you know, when it can be so low yet make a move, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't have to always like blast out in order to have a blast.
What do you think about when life gets back to normal? Which it's looking like there's a chance that by next summer we'll be able to have music festivals or something resembling normal musical performances again. What do you think about getting together with these guys and doing some sort of live performance?
Oh, hell to the yeah. That's already in mind, man. I think we kind of think way ahead of things that we want to do, and well, I don't see stopping from what we've done. Mm-hmm. Because of the pandemic, we still stuck together and still trying to bring forth something. So when it all comes to a head, shall we say, I'm sure all the guys going to be ready to just explode and and praise the Lord. If I'm still around, I want to explode with them because this is a very trying time for all musicians right now, and you can feel it, man. You can feel it in their playing because when they do get a chance to play, it's like an explosion. Mm-hmm. Wow, I couldn't wait, boom, but to be able to do it with a feeling of camaraderie and the fact that we all are feeling the same thing about why we're not able to get it out there. Because I'm sure it's like when you pop a can of anything, here we go, man. We got that outlet now. Now everything's coming out of that can, dog. Yeah, everything that's built up for this long period of time is coming out. It's going to be more explosive than even the pandemic was. It's going to be so relieving to the whole world that you got this music source that's just bringing all of that hurt out, and now there's new life. It's just like a flower blooming. That's what I'm seeing in my mind. Like when the pandemic's done, it's like something's been closed up for so long, and all of a sudden it just started budding.
We're going to have the roaring 2020s.
Hello.
The roaring 20s are going to be back.
Hello, but I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of the entrance into that. I may not live through the whole thing, but but I do believe that, like I said, God put you where you need to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a gentleman who has a similar kind of somewhat kind of similar story as far as your path into music, and then what he's doing now is club ownership. Is John Kenny, who is one of the co-owners of the Royal American, which is kind of yes. And so the reason I'm bringing that up is because when you came back to Charleston from New Orleans, you started your own club,
right?
Which became at that time kind of like the Royal American is for the independent music scene now.
No, yeah.
You had that for the music scene of downtown Charleston. Tell me how that happened.
Oh man,
I know you
that's amazing.
Yeah, because again, this is another example of you saying, "I want that. I'm going to do it."
Well, that's exactly what happened. Because I came home from my dad. My dad was sick at the time. So I took a flight home, and he was over at the VA hospital, and he was doing bad. He had prostate cancer, and so I go visit him, and anyway, that was a trying time for me. But like I said, I had to come in because they didn't expect him to, to stay around. But anyway, came in, I saw him, and then as I'm going home, I come up Race Street, and I'm looking directly at the old Moulin Rouge, and there's a sign in the window that says "for sale," not for rent. For rent, yeah. I said, "This can't be. This place has been here, when I was in my teens, I couldn't even go in the door. We used to have to look through the window to see what everybody was doing until I got in 12th grade. 12th grade, we finally got in there. But anyway, I saw this thing. There's no way in the world that place is open because, I mean, it's not open because it always had a lot of people going in and out of there. Even the older generation, they used to just sit up, the older guys sit in the window and watch ladies go by, play cards in the window, but every day they'd go there after work. So it was a very popular place. So at the time, I was married, and when I got back home, I told my wife, I said, I think I'm moving back to Charleston.
Wow.
And she says, why? What's wrong with New Orleans? I said, nothing wrong with New Orleans, but I right now I see that there's an opportunity that I would love to have, and it's opening this place called the Moulin Rouge. You mean that place was sitting on the coast? Yeah, that same place. She said, well, okay. Okay. I said, all right. Well, it's going to be a little transition here. But anyway, I'm going to go down there and find out what's going to start. I came back home in another week because my father had gotten a little worse. Anyway, found out that the place was up. All I had to do is put up $600 for the deposit, $600 for the first month's rent. You know, and
$600 for downtown commercial rent.
Check that out.
What year is this?
This is in 1996.
Wow, this is pretty recent. Wow.
We play a lot of gigs in a wedding band together called The Secret Ingredients, which is a fantastic band.
Absolutely.
There's not a gig we play where someone doesn't come up afterward and say, you used to play the Moulin Rouge. I mean, I'm telling you, not a gig that doesn't come out where it's not like, either you played my wedding or aren't you the guy that used to play at the Moulin Rouge?
Right.
You know, so I think a generation of Charlestonians cut their teeth for the first time at this bar. A lot of musicians that I know that I'm really close with, Paul Quattlebaum.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. John Fitzgerald, you know, a bunch of these great musicians around town.
John.
They got their start there.
Doug
Walter.
Yeah.
I mean, all these guys were cutting their teeth there. And the other thing is it was just north by a block or two of the Crosstown.
Right.
Which in 1996 for college-age musicians, white guys, to go up and rip at a speakeasy kind of club was a thing.
That's unheard of.
Was a thing, yeah. So
it felt dangerous for.
Yeah, I mean, but they wanted to play with the best. I mean, there was jam sessions going on.
That's an interesting thing because I remember while I was trying to get it together and doing little this and little that, I'd had some guys that I grew up with and they'd all pop and said, hey, man, I can't wait till you get home and blah, 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 blah. You know, okay. Yeah, man, I'm glad you're home and blah, 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 blah. And when they first come in the door, it's like, give me lemon, can you spare? Okay. Now you want a free beer. You coming to help me, but you want a free beer.
Yeah.
Or a free drink.
This rent's not going to pay itself.
So, you know, it went on like that for a good while, you know, but there were people coming in, people that, you know, come and spend money, that not those that were standing on the corner waiting for me to open the door. But anyway, one day, I can't remember, I think it was, what's this guy's name? Oh, I can't think of him right now, but it'll come back to me. Anyway, he comes in the door, and, well, he rings the door because we had a doorbell. And you had to ring the doorbell.
No way.
Yes. You
had a sliding door?
No, I didn't have a sliding, but I had a little mirror, not a mirror,
window,
one way glass on the front door, so I can come to the front door and see you, but you can't see me looking at you. Yeah. So, and it was a white guy. So I says, yes, can I help you? He says, yeah, just want to get in. This is a club. I said, well, it's actually a semi-private club, you know, but we're establishing some people to come in and be part of it. So if you want to come in, fine. He came, Wells, his name was Wells. He came in, sat, looked around. God damn. Why ain't nobody in here? I said, well, they usually come later on. This is like 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. People just started dropping in like late evening, you know. Anyway, he said, okay, well, I'm going to sit here and see when they come in. I said, "You're welcome, man." He sat there and he drank and he drank and he. I said, "How the hell can you hold all of that, though?" I said, "I don't think I'm gonna serve you anymore." So I got it. Right. He'd had about 3 shots of Jim Beam. He had a shot of tequila. He drank. He drank. What's that? Guinness. He had 2 Guinness. No, he had 2 Harvey Wallbangers.
Oh my goodness.
Thing, but he still sat there and he was just so dude. And then people started coming in. They said, "Oh yeah, this is the place now." People started coming in and started dancing and blah blah blah. And he's just going. He's still holding all of this stuff, man. But anyway, when he left, he said, "I'll see you next week." And he came back. He came back with at least 10 people, 10 of his friends, and he brought in.
And they were heavy drinkers too?
Yes. Yes. He brought in boys and girls. They were all college students at the time and didn't know it because they presented themselves well. We wasn't checking any IDs. People coming in, come spend some money. Shit, lock that door. I know what's coming in the door. I know if the cops coming in the leg. But, But anyway, most of them were like 17, 18, right at the cusp. Man, it just ballooned in a couple of months. Next thing I know, in the afternoons, I got a packed fucking house.
Oh my goodness.
Holy shit, And I used to just go up there and do a little banging on the piano, playing shit, but they liked it. I was okay. I still do that. But anyway, then they found out that I could play saxophone. So they come in, "Would you just play me a song?" So I get up on the mic and next thing I got a whole audience, not just one. Okay, here's what we're gonna start doing. We're gonna start doing a Wednesday scene and Sunday scene. I started playing on Wednesdays, and on Sundays we played after they had some like maybe seafood. Start bringing in crabs, oysters, and let them eat all they want to eat. People got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Wow.
But then guys started coming in, because they started wanting to jam. After the jams did get in, Paul started coming in, and Johnny Barr, and that's how we started the sequence. Johnny Barr and brother, the sequence got started there because Johnny Barr came in. I didn't know that his sister was dating my brother. But anyway, he was talking about music. He says, "Hey man, I play." Johnny is one of the heaviest bass players. He had to lay back because of his health. But Johnny played some hell of bass. Johnny and I started getting together, and then brother came in, who was the drummer of the original Secrets. And he said, "Yeah, man." Oh, they had dispersed. But I said, "Hey, well, we need to get something together. Have you here on Wednesdays and have you here on Saturday." He said, "Well, what we gonna call it?" "Well, we already got a band called Secrets." I said, "Well, okay." But they hadn't played in about a year. So I said, "Fuck it, you can call it Secrets if you want to." But it started at the Moulin Rouge, and from that, I guarantee you, we probably did about 20-something weddings everywhere. We went all the way to I want to say Nantucket.
Wow.
During Hurricane Floyd, went to Nantucket. Guy paid our way there and put us up. We couldn't go all the way because the hurricane was coming right, bam, it caught us in Pennsylvania, so we had to stay over in Pennsylvania, stayed over in Cape Cod, and then went to Nantucket for about 3 days for the wedding and wedding reception. Wonderful. Somebody we met at the Moulin Rouge. "You guys got to play at my wedding." Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing, man. It's amazing. And it was, got to take my wife, and Johnny took his old lady, and Doug took his girlfriend. But it was a great adventure, man, to have the Secrets on the road doing the things that they did. I thought it was a pretty good tight group. well known for a good while.
Do you think the music in your life and your involvement in music throughout your life, you think that has been something that has opened more doors for you, or do you think that's just another thing that opens doors for you? Would you, because it sounds like you've kind of walked into these things, they've all become more than you expected.
You could say that, yeah. To tell you the truth, the whole time that I've been performing in my life, it was the greatest gratitude I could get out of all of that is that somebody's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting something out of it. Somebody's feeling it. Somebody's understanding where I'm coming from. Somebody's hearing my message. Somebody is realizing that the talent that I have, I'm just trying to share it. I want to share it. You know, it'd be foolish to not think that it has monetary value, but my greatest value for all of it is just that. It's acceptance. It's because it's like a check mark for me to say, yeah, you accomplished something that is beneficial. You accomplished something that somebody sees some good in, and so I think music for me is just that. It's an outlet that I was blessed with, and I'm not ashamed to say I like to share it with the world. You know, the world might not get to hear it, but I'm at least
I think the world.
plugging at it.
Well, you know what I was getting to before, when I was bringing up before we started talking about the music club. To me, it feels like the music I'm hearing coming out of those two records, and the band you guys have put together, and the songs, specifically your performance. I can't help but to think like it would fit in perfectly at a high water music festival, at a Shaky Knees music festival, at these music festivals that have become showcases of multiple different types of music. And man, I'm telling you, if you got a group of kids that maybe have never even heard of you before, and they hear that music, you know what's going to happen. There's no doubt. They're going to start moving. They're going to start cheering.
Yeah.
And you're going to touch them. You're gonna. So yeah,
That's my greatest ambition, right there. I can touch him.
What would the Bill Wilson band opening for Anderson .Paak look like? You know what I mean? Like all the kids that are like way into Anderson. Like Grandy's one of the brilliant minds of our, the current generation of music. But I kind of fantasize about that. What would like a Bill Wilson set opening for Anderson .Paak look like? All those kids would be like, whoa.
Well, why don't we get John Kenny on the phone and talk about Summer Shindig 2021? And why couldn't that be part of the bill?
Well, the beautiful thing, we have a concert on the 17th. I don't know when the podcast will come out, but December 17th, we'll have a CD release party. The band that's on the album is incredibly hard to book.
Right, because they all have projects.
Well, I mean, the drummer is Aesop Rocky's drummer. Yeah. The bass player is Black Diamond bass player. The Doom Flamingo is the saxophone, guitarist, and background singers band, which is up and coming band in the area. Robo Trio is Ross Bogan's band. He plays synths on this album. The guy, everybody's so. But the beautiful thing is when we released the 2018 album, we were able to do a concert at the Commodore with the studio band.
Yeah.
And for this album, we're able to do one on December 17th at Lo-Fi Brewing with the actual band from the studio. Now, all that and that one's sold out in 4 hours yesterday. We announced it. It sold out like that.
I didn't even get the announcement.
We didn't announce it. It sold out.
I was about to say, I'm like, this is news to me. This is like when Instagram shows you all the sales or shows that happen 2 days after it's already done. Mm-hmm. You're like, what's going on here?
Joseph, if you need 2 chairs there, we got you. If you'd like a seat, we got you. You just let me know.
I'm very interested.
Yeah. So, but the interesting thing is that band in particular, extremely talented, extremely busy.
Yeah.
But the music and the songs are so great that Bill's been able to play consistently around town with other bands that reinterpret the music. I play with him. Matt Zutel plays drums. We've got Aaron Utterback on bass and Jason Kaufman on guitar. We got a little 5-piece, and we'll go around and play all those songs and crush them out. But it's a different band, but the same music.
All right. Well, can I interject something?
Sure.
Now? I know you guys have a lot of great resources. Are you documenting this concert? Are you filming it?
We
recording it?
We were not going to, but then we ended since we sold out. Since we sold out, we're going to pony up a little extra money, and we're going to do a 3-camera stream. So it will be streamed online with a little, donation button there to help pay for it. But hopefully that'll be recorded. Matt Zutel is running sound, and as we know,
the best sound man in Charleston.
Yeah, best a lot of things in Charleston. Actually. But
he's just a good guy.
Yeah, so he's gonna capture it for us too. So we'll definitely document the moment. We didn't document the first concert. Did we?
It kind of sounded to me like you were trying to interject something about your shooting or something, or you want to take some...
I'll take some pictures.
Oh,
bring it.
I would love to take some pictures of it.
Well, that'll work.
I got
We're excited about
right here. I got to get a picture of you before we leave.
Oh, really?
But I got my camera ready to go.
Oh, man. I didn't wear my best stuff.
Dude, don't worry, because if you've seen the cover art for my podcast, you're going to be turned into a cartoon anyway. So you could be wearing whatever you like. It's gonna look fun.
But anytime we can get that album band together, which has only been twice live, we get really excited. So
let's try to I'd love to see like a festival type situation. I saw Dr. John in a festival atmosphere, and I know that I'm in my mid 40s, which I when you go to a festival, you're the old man. at a certain point. In your mid 40s, you're the old man. And I remember
so I guess I'll be the ancient man then.
Well, but I remember watching him come out there, and I just remember exactly what I described. There's kids that had no idea who he was. They might have heard from like a song from The Princess and the Frog or something like that, but they didn't know who he was. And within a minute, they're all turned on. And of course.
Yeah. And that particular is called the Gris-Gris. If you know anything about Dr. John.
Hey.
He got that Gris-Gris.
That's New Orleans style.
Dr. John story.
Now.
Dr. John, I can't remember, was it the band or somebody crazy? He was playing, it was Allman Brothers. He was on a gig with the Allman Brothers back in the day, and he came and blessed Greg Allman's organ with glitter. Gris-Gris glitter. And Greg Allman was so pissed off. His entire Hammond B3, the inside of it was just full of glitter. And Dr. John just walked away. I love that story. That's in Greg Allman's biography, by the way. I didn't make that up.
Whoa.
Well, man, is there anything else that we need to plug? Because, this has just been an honor to have you in here talking about all of these stories about how you got to where you are. Because, I feel like we could probably stay here for 6 more hours. We're just getting...
I love you, man.
We're getting the tip of the iceberg. He's like, well, we got a couple more drinks left in it.
It's like getting a certain energy spark when I get to talk about my life. And it actually makes me look back and to visualize some things that people bring out that I hadn't even paid much attention to because it was just part of growing up, I guess, and just a part of my becoming who I am. But all in all, I've always maintained one particular posture, and that is trying to do something every day positive toward the goal that you want to get to. Because if you don't add to it, you ain't going nowhere.
Right.
So that has probably been my inspiration throughout life is to continue to do something every day positively toward the goal you're trying to reach. And my goal is just world peace, world love, world happiness, and people can, maybe one day we can all just come out in the streets and forget everything else and just sing a fucking song all the way across the world, and everybody singing that same song at the same damn time, and forget about everything else that's what's going on. They shut down the bus line, shut down the train line. Just get out and friggin' sing. You know what I'm talking about? Sing this particular song, whatever it is, we need a song of love, something like that, boom. We are the world, something like that. When you see stuff like that, it's now the whole world's all in conjunction with trying to get to the same spot.
I think if there's an answer, if there is a way to achieve world peace, it might very well come through music.
Music. Has to be.
I mean, think of some of the most amazing, talented musicians who are such flawed people, and we're able to look past those flaws because of the beauty of their music.
Beauty of the music, yeah.
And I think that there's something in that will bring us all together.
I have to agree with you wholeheartedly, man. And to tell you the truth, this has been so enlightening today. The last podcast I did with Dan Anderson. You know, if you know Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, when did the other CD, and him and I become close friends. I see him like every Tuesday. You know, we meet at Fatty's to have a Tuesday day for the guys. But in that little circle, he's bringing in other artists of different things. Like Patch does a lot of painting and stuff.
Whiskey, yeah.
There you go. I thought I saw that before.
Yeah.
You got that one you close?
I've got some of his artwork tattooed on me.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Patch Whiskey's the man.
Okay.
And this guy over here, Patrick Prickett, he was in here last week. He's another similar with the bold colors.
I saw that too.
And you'll see some of his murals around around Charleston he's got these big eyes.
You see how close that circle is?
Yeah.
You see how you meet people and you don't know that they know other people that you know. You see, that circle is a tremendous circle, man. Like, I'm just so glad and happy that God continues to bring people together. He continues to formulate his plan. I mean, his plan's already formulated. He's just bringing it together, and we don't realize the pieces of the puzzle that we are, but we're watching it grow, just like what you got on your wall.
Oh yeah,
all of us coming together.
The older I get, the concept of what God is and what it means has changed so much from what you're taught and what you take in to what you experience.
Yes.
And when you start experiencing the love, the connection with everything in life, even with inanimate objects, that's where I'm getting to that now these days. I'm like, just like simple things. It's like, this is all made of it's made of the same stuff. It's you break it down small enough and it's the same atoms that make up us. We're all connected. And that to me, it's become, like you said, this plan that is unfolding.
It's unfolding, and we're just watching it unfold.
Yeah.
But to be a positive part of that plan makes one feel real good to know that what I've done today or what I've done yesterday, it's benefited more than me, but people around me, people that have the same aspirations, the same goals. Maybe they can see, all right, just keep the motor running. Sometimes you might have to put a little cooking oil in your engine rather than the gasoline, but keep the motor running.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Praise the Lord, man.
That is so
it's
cool.
A good thing.
All right, man. This has been fantastic. I really am so.
No, I'm gonna stop you. It's been more than that. It's been enlightening. It's been man, rejuvenating. It's been knowing that there are people out there with the same feelings I have in my life, in my mind, and I want to see the world peace. I want to see world happiness, and like you said, I think music has got to be the glue that brings it all together.
It's definitely there. We just got to strike the right chord.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for having me and inspiring me to continue to do.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, with the tree tops glisten and the children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Oh, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. We're living Christmas call outright. Merry and bright. May all your Christmases be white.
Before you get going, don't forget to subscribe to the show if you haven't already. And also, you can check out more at jwnpod.com or follow me on Instagram at Joel Latex. That's at JOEL, the number 8X. Have a great day. Peace.